a title deed should have, and the first thing that ukiangalia title deed hivi, this is a fake title deed. And also, how many, let's say, types of title deeds are there?
Right now, let me start from, there's something that I wanted to mention before I get to your question. Okay. A power of attorney, for example, if you could be in diaspora and you want someone to deal with property in Kenya, you can give them a specific or a general power of attorney. General power of attorney gives them vast powers to act on your behalf regarding that transaction, including payment of the purchase price and even signing documents. Specific can be specified that I need you only to do this, but not signing the documents. So if you have a power of attorney and it is registered, you can even actually sign on behalf of of a party in a land sale transaction. Remember, any contract in disposition of land has to have three things as per the Law of Contract Act and the Land Act. It must be in writing, it must be executed by the parties, and number three, there have to be witnesses. A witness can be your friend, your neighbor, or even an advocate who can attest that document. Let's now get to the question you have posed right now. What happens when I hold a title? First, with your due diligence, you'll be able to know who is the owner of this property. Okay. And of course, you can also look at the ID. Because there are many times that the problem is with the ID. Someone fakes an ID of the owner of the property, and they also go and get a land title of the owner of the property, the fake ones, and they bring those documents to you. So in real sense, could be you've seen this the IDs that get lost and titles that get lost, so someone can easily come to you. So the first thing you can also do a formal letter to the registrar of person to confirm if this ID really belongs to the said person, because IDs are very unique, with unique serial numbers, and there is only one ID that relates to a person. So if you do that, you can be able now to ascertain that indeed the person who is indicated as the owner of the property is also the person who is in the ID. That is number one. Number two, you look at of course, the title has various sections. There is Part A, which is the property section, the proprietorship section, and then encumbrance section. Okay. Of course, then every title must be signed by a registrar, and then it must be sealed. So you look at the registrar, which registrar signed this title, and you go and search that registrar, because there is, if you search, there is an index of all the registrars in Kenya. You can easily ascertain that this is actually a registrar who really exists. Then, of course, I remember there's a time someone came with a fake title, and by looking at it, looking at the registrar, we smelt a rat, and immediately we did our search. It's unfortunate that the client came to us after paying huge amounts of deposit, but at least we were able to salvage a bigger part of the balance of the purchase price, because now we had to involve the DCI. Just call them to the office, because we had already known that these are fraudsters. And the police came and they were carried away.
So on that bit, because that's where I really want, and largely, because I remember last week on Friday, Cabinet Secretary of Interior, Professor Kithure Kindiki, said the government will now start to crack down on fraudsters. And we've had this conversation for years on end. Fraudsters this, fraudsters this. So, Thuku, help us understand, because we've enlisted all this nice process, may simplify vizuri. But at what point, mostly, do fraudsters come in? Or will the fraudster come in? Because someone would say, maybe bidi nilifanya due diligence yangu yote. Nikaenda nikapata na watu wa bodaboda hapa, kanilia hata kalunch, nikauliza hii shamba iko aje. I asked, I had all those, the green card information. I searched probably on land registry, but then still, nikaambiwa, something just happened. So at what point, normally, will the fraudster come into play on all this process?
All right. I think there's just one thing I want to mention, and I think what you learn over time is that document someone holds, and especially the one we call title deed. Yeah. For me, I don't consider it the actual title deed. The title deed is the green card in in the registry. There are fraudsters who are able to do all those things. You try to look at it, it looks exactly. They are able, over time, these fraudsters are always ahead, and they are able, maybe they can be able to fool you.
So, so there's no way you can duplicate the green card information?
No, unless now, that's where I'm going. And I think most fraudster works in cahoot with the people in the registry.
Okay.
Yeah, because for you to go and do search, and the search is clean, and even some, because most of the people who have been defrauded have a clear search. I did that, there's no encumbrance, there was nothing, and I did it, and it was signed by the registrar. What has been happening historically has been issues to do with, one, people who know the history of that land. For example, I may have a neighbor who I know lives in the States, and therefore he's not around, and I know he'll take some time. So what I will do is that this land, I know the story about it, I know the person, so I'll go to the registrar, and they go to the registrar, those fraudsters, and they'll tell the registrar, those, of course, not all registrars, and tell them, now we have this land, it's worth 10 million. You take your 5, I'll take my 5. So let's do this. This is the document, this is what. You make a green card. The seller is coming. And what they used to do, because there are sometimes we encounter such kind of a story, or someone will go, the registrar will remove the original green card, insert another one, it is written. So when you go to do the search, that moment it will be very clear. So it is a very clean green card. Then once you leave after the search, it is removed and the other one is returned.
Wow.
Yeah, when the original one is returned, even if you go back there to say, after you have been defrauded, I did search here. When they go to look at the green cards, they will be telling you, you faked, that search is not ours. Look, come, you can see, this is the original green card. However, so for you to be able to do that, it must be done at that high level. There must be collision between the fraudsters and of course people in the registry for you to have done all the due diligence, and then only for it to end up being a fraud case. So it has to involve those people at that level. And I think we thank the government, because there is the ADISASA that is, and I think it's taking a long time to be effected everywhere. But I think it's something that can solve some of those issues.
Why do you think it's taking a long time?
No idea.